Hey there, and welcome back to the Second Lunch podcast. We have our most requested return guest, Mr. Harkins, my junior high school history teacher, is back, and he has adhered to the dress code. He's rocking a jersey. Cole, get with it. You're outnumbered now.
I'm wearing Noam Chomsky. I am ready for...
Cole's version of a jersey is a dumb shirt. So.
Yeah.
That's not a dumb shirt.
No, it's a great shirt. It's a great shirt.
I thought for discussing history,
yeah,
it'd be,
dumb was not judgmental at all.
There's no fun animal for Howard Zinn, so this was the best I could do.
We're gonna jump right into questions. I know, me and a lot of other people who have been history students feel like maybe we haven't gotten the whole truth, and we want answers. All right, so the first question I have for you is Cold War or global warming? Which is it?
Cold War.
Okay. Explain.
Without you explaining
The
your
Cold War was real.
Oh,
we're taking that stance. Your teachers, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. That makes good sense to me.
We're not going to follow up on that.
I think he was pretty clear. One thing's real, one isn't. Moving on, bud. Suck my nards, John Kerry.
Hey, this is...
Wasn't even him, was it? Was it Kerry? The documentary I'm talking?
Al Gore.
To? Al Gore, there we go.
Yeah.
Suck my dick, Al Gore.
Yeah, you were right on the, failed presidential candidates there.
Never
on the
president.
Democrat.
Never the president.
Yeah. You can only tell me
If
what
you're
to
not
do
the
when you're
president,
president.
you don't get to do anything.
Certainly can't tell me.
I did learn that from Veep. Television taught me that.
Seems like... oh, man. Seems like presidents are pretty concerned about the state of the onion. Where do they keep this onion?
Moscow.
Moscow? Oh, God. Probably so.
Moscow. Yeah.
Probably so.
I wouldn't trust them with... How many
Why did-
Fabergé eggs did they
Why did they
lose?
choose something perishable?
Because it looks cool on top of a church.
Now, are we
enough.
talking about the Onion Futures Act?
Yeah, explain what that is for all the people who don't know, Cole.
I don't even know if I really fully recall what it is, but I think it's similar to how in the 80s the Hunt brothers, Lamar Hunt, the former owner of the Chiefs being among them, tried to corner the silver market. Did not go well. They lost their asses. But before that, somebody tried to do the same thing with onions, which I imagine is a more challenging thing to corner the market on. More affordable, more widespread.
I like the concept of being like, well, I have all the onions, so...
It's a great way to try to just create an artificial bottleneck, like artificial scarcity. Doesn't that drive up like your baseball
Yeah, but I
cards?
can do
and your...
without onions. Like, if somebody was
No,
like...
Are you insane?
It's $10 an onion.
No.
I'm like,
Oh,
I'll figure it out.
okay.
I'll do something else.
I'm with you. I don't
You
think
need
you can.
onions.
You need onions, but admittedly, if you're
This is
talking
not
about $50,
this is not an
and-
anti-onion stance. I really like onions. But if somebody said $10 an onion, get some chives or something, I don't know. I'll figure something
but that's when
out.
that's when I'm writing my congressman. See, that's like that's where the grassroots movement gets started, is when you take away my fucking onions.
Where's the onion man? How do I talk to somebody about...
You can grow onions.
This is how you subvert the market, you know.
You can grow your own.
This is another problem. See, there's another problem with trying to
Isn't that
corner
why
the onion
moonshining
market.
is illegal? Wouldn't they'd probably just make it illegal, right?
Well, I thought that had more to do with like taxation, but I don't think nobody's stopping you from growing onions at your house. Similarly,
Today.
wait till the
It's a new America,
inauguration.
Cole.
Yeah, I'm scared. But yeah, the average person can't create a silver mine in their backyard as easily as they could grow a couple onions. So, but in any case, it didn't work too well. But I guess the onions, that's how you get a futures
So
act.
the state of the onion address is just grow your own onions. Is that what this is about?
Yes.
Got my answer. A Bay of Pigs is a bold strategy. I imagine PETA was up in their arms about that one. How did they select which pigs would go to war?
It was a fiasco.
We chose the wrong pigs, if that's what you're asking. The pigs didn't have
The
air support.
bourgeoisie pigs were safe, while the proletariat pigs were in trouble because, as it turns out, the biggest of the Bay of Pigs characters knew all about the Bay of Pigs before the Bay of Pigs happened.
So the pigs were doomed.
They had trouble.
That's a lot of wasted bacon.
It's a lot of some folks died for sure. I don't know how to respond to that one in a way that is in any way respectful.
tastes
Was it
good.
Veterans Day like 3 days ago? Wait, these were all like
Pork chop
paramilitaries,
tastes
so
good.
All right, which Reich was your favorite? The First Reich, the Second Reich, the Third Reich, or Frank Reich?
okay. Well, Hitler didn't beat Warren Moon in the playoffs, so I'm throwing the third right out the window.
I
So
think
first-
safety,
first,
safety
second, or
first. We just got to go with that.
You want to eliminate the third?
Charlemagne was cool. That worked
The
out.
rapper?
No,
No,
no, the real Charlemagne.
the one guy whose
The
name I
Charlemagne
remember
the
from the
God. Right,
Dark
Charlemagne.
Ages. Yeah, he was
Yeah.
he was around in what, the 9th century?
Totally
When things
real
were-
name.
Bismarck was the Second Reich, right?
I think that's right.
I think
That sounds like a name, though.
that's my German history kicking in pretty strong right there.
All right.
You know Charlemagne is old because he only needed one name. There were only like 12 guys at that point. This is post fall of the Western Roman Empire, so who needs a last name? Charlemagne's plenty. And to your point, there's not a whole lot of them.
So which Reich was that?
Not the
That
third.
was one. Yeah, not the third.
It's
is
also
the
not
definitive
Frank Reich,
answer.
which I
Or
thought was going to
Frank Reich.
run away.
Frank Reich's, excellence in the league was probably outmatched by
Charlemagne.
Charlemagne.
Pretty mediocre. Pretty
I'd say
mediocre.
Charlemagne's Wikipedia page is longer, so if
You
that's
said
the
something about Wikipedia, haven't you? There was a Wikipedia comment in the truck. Coming
Oh,
in?
we're going to get to Wikipedia. Cole, yeah, that's Cole's strong suit for sure. Saddam Hussein, what was his deal?
Nothing good.
swinging a drive.
Seems like a real jerk.
Yeah, he didn't like people, as it turns out. He was responsible for killing a lot of them, and we don't promote that.
Pretty good mustache, though.
Yeah, solid mustache.
Broken clock's right twice a day. But
I don't like the guy. I'm going to say it.
Okay.
fun fact, the United States did back his assassination attempt in the 50s.
In the
taking-
50s? We trying to knock that guy off for that long?
No. He was the one attempting to lead the coup. We were supporting his attempted coup.
I can see that.
And then the 50s, we were playing
It
it
was
fast and
crazy
loose.
times.
You're trying to undermine like half of Central America. You don't
Beach
even know who you're.
blanket bingo.
But yeah, it didn't work out. I think he went to prison for a bit, and then he came back. And
What's a Mazel Tov cocktail, and why don't the bouncers want me to have one?
well, it's like he said about the proletariats.
Yeah.
What conspiracy theory do you think is the dumbest, and what conspiracy theories do you actually believe?
Ooh.
That's
The
a
dumbest.
good question.
The dumbest conspiracy theory. Let's. I don't even know about that. I'm gonna stew on that one for a bit. But the one I believe is, there's more to JFK than we know.
Yeah, that's
I
fine.
I think that's the big one right there. The dumbest one, Bigfoot's fake.
Fair enough. You think there's just one, though?
No, there's
There's got to be a
of them.
bunch of Sasquatches if they're out there.
At least a handful.
Sasquatch is what you're looking for right there.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's
What did I
Yeti.
say?
And then there's, there's.
Abominable snowman.
I think that's,
Multiple aliases.
Yeah, there's a bunch of them.
I mean,
Okay,
how long
abdominal
did
snowman.
we think the coelacanth, the big ugly fish, was extinct for? I think we thought that was extinct for like 100 years, and then somebody caught one off the coast of Madagascar.
Okay, well, what do we think Sasquatches are then? Neanderthals?
Oh, I don't necessarily know what they are, but I'm just saying, you can find a previously thought to be extinct species. I mean, that's more of like
Maybe they're just
it ever
weird
existed?
bears.
I've
Upright
actually
bears?
read that theory about them being like sick bears with like mange and shit. And so you see
Infected
this kind
front paws, so they walk on their hind legs.
Bears can walk on their hind legs.
I know.
I've seen that.
I don't want to poke too many holes in the conspiracy you believe in here.
But before we move on, I do want to. So I already agree with the most plausible conspiracy theory being JFK. I think the dumbest one is a modern one, flat Earth. Just because I don't know who benefits. Like when people are like the moon landing was a hoax, I'm like, that's wrong. I don't agree, but I do understand politically why it would have behooved us to fake it. But as Neil deGrasse Tyson said, it was just easier to land on the moon than to do all the fakery. It's just
Right.
easier to simply go to the moon.
I was just listening to a guy saying, wouldn't it be fun to have a reality TV show where all the flat Earth people are in a race to find the edge?
Right.
Oh my
Right, get
God.
I mean, give them $1 million.
Yes.
If you find the edge, you win. And
Yeah,
that'd be fun.
absolutely. Because these people are also
Also, you
in
could
that-
definitely get multiple seasons out of that. They're just
Yeah.
going to keep going.
Yeah.
And there's the sort of critical
Bermuda again?
sort of critical thinking that goes along with that conspiracy theory. Also kind of mandates that those people would be really inspired by $1 million. Like, even in the face of certain death, because if you find the edge of the, I mean, shit, you see the old maps, there's fucking big octopi and shit out there. You know, the big...
Kraken.
Exactly. Exactly. They're like the size of Australia on those old maps. And you're going to have to brave that, Mr. Cartography, there, you know, Ferdinand Magellan, if you want the 1 million clams.
Yeah. My conspiracy theory
And
is
what
we don't
would,
need
hold
to
on,
get into.
what would that winner do with $1 million?
Oh my God. Whippets. Like so much nitrous oxide. Next
We got to put up a
Disturbed.
fence.
Next
so
Corn
nobody falls
tour.
off. Yeah.
That guy's not putting his own money up towards it. That guy's a selfish asshole. I know it right now.
All right. If you could do any of these things once per school year, what would you pick? Punch a parent in the face
Yes.
without any repercussions, send a kid back a grade,
You're
or
really fucking with someone's life.
or send your least favorite colleague to a different school of your choice.
Punch a parent?
Yeah.
That's on there?
Yeah.
And it's a freebie. It's a freebie.
That's strong. That's strong right there. But to look a kid in the eye and just say, you're
You're demoted.
you're demoted. It's not like you're going to repeat this class.
We're sending you
You're
back.
going back.
Yeah.
That would be such a great experience that I don't want to say I've wished for that, but I've never honestly thought about it. But good God, to look a kid right in the eye and watch that single tear start,
Mess
When
with
they
their
know.
social life.
I think that'd be it. I mean, you can punch a parent now, and there are repercussions, and you're gonna pay for it probably. And there's a letter in your file on that one, but we don't
That's
get
all.
to send. We don't
putting
get
a
to
letter in
send a
file.
kid back. Other colleague to a different school. I don't care about
You've never
that
had
so
a
much.
colleague that you absolutely despised?
Oh yeah, but that's part of the fun because that makes every meeting that much better. Out of the just like, what now? You know, you take
Yeah.
bets with your friends as far as like, what is this person going to say now? Because nobody likes that guy, and that's just we're going to work
This
with
sounds
that.
like the really hyper-vigilant type of teachers are the ones you maybe...
I don't hang out with those people very often.
Yeah. You're having
So-
beers on a podcast with a
I'm-
former student. I
On a school night.
kind on a school night. Yeah, I kind of guessed.
This is Friday night, right? When
Yeah.
people see this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I got to think send a kid back would just be so much fun and so soul crushing to that child that we're going that direction.
Would you send him back just one grade?
Yeah,
Just the one?
because I want to see him next year too.
Yeah.
And
Hey,
use the
remember me?
same one again. You get one per school year. You could just keep
Just keep
sending the same
blackballing
kid
the same
back.
kid.
You got a 30-year-old in 7th grade. Like, fuck.
You talking about, disliking colleagues, I did want to share just a brief story from my high school to see if this resonates with you in any way. We had an active shooter situation. It wasn't a drill, but somebody had committed a nearby crime and happened to run through our school. And I was in the library at the time, and they had me like close all the windows and stuff. And then you just got to get down and shut up and wait. But since it was the real deal, we actually had to shut up and wait for like an hour and a half. And some of the kids were kids, and they made some noise. And then one teacher acted very inappropriately. And instead of trying to address the situation in a reasonable manner, lost it and was like, and you know what Columbine is, blah, blah, just going off and invoking all of these school shootings to a group of mostly scared kids. I can't remember. He was a bigger guy, big beard.
It was
not
me.
Mr. Smith. He was great. He was the journalism teacher, and it wasn't. No, it wasn't Barashkov. I didn't know the guy. But then one of the not marine biology, but that program. As we were leaving the library, once this situation had ended, this one teacher next to me just nudges me, and he just goes, and we're walking behind the guy who lost it, and he just goes, "Wah, I don't want to die." Right behind the teacher who had completely snapped. Presumably because he knew that he would never report that, because then he would have to say, well, yeah, the inciting cause of this was I screamed at a bunch of kids about Columbine. And then he mocked me for it brutally in front of all those kids. But I don't know. I just had to share that story real quick. Felt important to me.
Sounds appropriate to me. These kids are making noise. You better start making more noise and shouting to them about why they shouldn't be making noise. One thing we need to talk about for sure, one part of my education I do remember, is how much you talked about the time you've spent in Montana.
I've been in Montana.
I know you've got some roots in Montana. I've shared some stories about my experiences in Montana on the podcast as well. And why don't you tell us about that? Did you grow up there?
Oh, no, my mom grew up in Montana.
Okay.
My family went to Montana in the late 1940s, and my grandpa was in lumber. Can I go back a story?
Yeah.
So my grandpa, when he was 12 during the Depression, his dad was killed in a railroad accident. So as a 12-year-old, my grandpa rode freight trains from Nova Scotia to Spirit Lake, Idaho, as a 12-year-old by himself with no money, and started working lumber camps topping trees as a 12-year-old.
Jesus.
It was a different time.
Send the smallest one up.
We don't do that now.
We've evolved mildly.
So he got involved in the lumber industry from as a 12-year-old topping trees to ultimately moving to Montana, kind of by Glacier Park, and buying pieces of land. And my grandmother, who in the Depression went to the University of Washington and got a business degree, which was pretty rare for women at that time. They got together post-World War II. Both of them had lost a spouse, and they started buying up little chunks of land. So as it turns out, our family has a little over 300 acres just south of Montana, or of Glacier Park. And since I was a little kid, that's where we'd go in the summertime and go to Montana. When my parents retired, they moved back to Montana. My brother is in Montana, a bunch of aunts and uncles in Montana. So I've gotten to know Montana pretty well.
It's funny, because you're from Snohomish, thinking of somebody living in Snohomish and being like, let's go to a really big Snohomish. There's a lot of room in Montana. Every time I've been to Montana, I've had that same feeling as like if you've ever swam in the ocean, where you start thinking about how much space there is, and I'm just like, there's too much space. Like, I need stuff around me. This is good.
Yeah.
I don't remember what that's called, but it gives me the creeps.
If you've driven through Montana, it sort of stretches from...
It takes forever.
It goes from somewhere around Ellensburg all the way to Minneapolis.
Yeah,
it's enormous.
Yeah, it doesn't need to be North Dakota. Just make the south one Dakota. Oh, man. I've driven through... I think we have a road trip question later on. We'll talk about it. But the longest drive in the world, to me, is Billings over. Anything past Billings. Holy fucking shit, dude. Oh, kill me. That's too far. You've gone too far. But that first part of Montana, from the beginning of the western part of Montana.
Right till you hit the Rockies.
Until you hit, yeah.
Yeah.
This is like, oh, this is not cool anymore. Big sky country, couldn't think
there's
of a
no
more.
lie.
That's the nicest way they could have put it.
But it is genuinely like higher. We've got like the low cloud cover here, so you look up and you're like, You go out there and you're like, holy
There's
shit.
a lot of fucking stars.
I feel like I could see. Yeah, exactly. My dumbass.
How can I see 10 satellites right now? Yeah, I don't know. I've spent a lot of time in Montana doing comedy. I'm trying to think of stories I haven't told on here before, other than I remember being in Missoula one time, and my buddy came
Go
out
Grizz.
smoking a joint, and I was like, "Can you do that here?" He's like, "No." I was like, "You want to go inside, maybe?" He's like, "No, man, we know the cops are cool." It's like, "Oh fuck, okay."
This is a mind your own business sort of place.
We're far enough away from actual trouble here that you can just do that.
I will say that Montana's the first place I saw a Suds and Fun casino laundromat, and I thought that was
What?
yeah, like throw some money in the slot machine while your laundry finishes.
You can have casinos everywhere. It's amazing.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
I remember one time
Suds and fun.
doing a show in Deer Lodge, and it makes more sense in a bar, but my buddy didn't want to drink, so he's like, "I'm going to go to the casino." He literally walked like 8 steps.
I thought you were just going to tell me you did pull tabs.
Won like $400 that night.
What do we got next, Chris? Are we still on questions?
I think we're on some more Wikipedia related things, so ball's kind of in your court now.
Right. What we had for today, the topic that I wanted to bring up broadly, just to get any information that you might have on them, is the historical Oklahoma Sooners. Because I feel like Chris has asked before on this show. First of all, what the fuck is a Sooner?
Yeah, other than a college team I hate.
That's a good question. What is a Sooner?
The one thing I know about them, so at that point in the nation expanding west, Manifest Destiny, the Louisiana Purchase, all that awesome stuff. Oklahoma was partitioned, like it was set aside, and they were like, everybody's going to get to go claim some land on this day. The Sooners were the people that snuck across the line and stuck at,
So they're cheaters.
they are absolutely assholes.
They named a college team after that?
Well, let's be clear on what college it is. This is not this isn't MIT.
Also, couldn't we have purchased something better than Louisiana?
It came with a lot.
Yeah,
You got a lot of
Mississippi purchase. That was a good. That was a good move.
I like having more land. Can we start giving some of it back?
The Mississippi River, especially when we got it, was like the greatest thing you could imagine for moving
The Nile
shit
of the
from one
West.
place to another without having like massive railroad, create production or anything yet. Just sending shit down the river was the best way to do it. That's why
We're
New
fans of
Orleans.
that. We like that.
Yeah.
One. That's
Yeah.
the river.
Yeah.
We're gonna keep that one.
Good one. Good job, guys.
But can you get rid of, some of the stuff around it? Yeah, probably. Got to
Hey,
keep
can
the
we-
river,
Can
though.
we turn down the humidity a bit? You guys are running away with it down there.
But yeah, back then, Sooner had a very negative connotation. And
How did they come up with the word, though? You got there sooner than I did.
this isn't a
It may have
complex
been
one.
that.
Yeah,
It's
no,
That's
what I'm saying.
I'm piecing this together just like you are, and I don't think you're wrong.
I like the idea that that's how they decided they were going to parcel out land. They're like, there's going to be a time and a day, and we're
What was
just
the
going to turn
movie
you all
with-
loose.
Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman.
Eyes wide shut.
No, that was different.
Poor guess.
He was an immigrant that came in, and they take part in the land rush. What movie am I thinking of? I don't know what it is. I can't
I
remember.
have no clue.
Now I know how to learn more about the Sooner movement, though.
TBD.
Okay.
Okay, the other thing that I wanted to bring up from Wikipedia is something called Operation Cat Drop. And
You've got me on the title alone.
and I don't know if either of you are familiar, but Operation Cat Drop was the name given to the delivery of cats, equipment, and supplies by the United Kingdom's Royal Air Force to remote regions of Borneo, basically a prior British colony. So they were dropped in crates on parachutes. And the operation was reported as a success at the time.
At the time.
It's-
Maybe not by today's standards. How many cats did we lose?
Well, there's newspaper reports published reference only 23 cats being used. Some unreliable later accounts claim up to 14,000.
What?
Do we
Crates
know
for
how
23
many
cats?
were thrown out of planes?
Hey, they always land on
Or
their
is
feet.
that suspect?
That's the part that's suspect, I think, is that
Okay.
they really don't know. But reported as a success. Also, a lot of the things that they were bringing with them were like DDT. So maybe we didn't want the cats to succeed here because that's how you thin out your eggshells with that sort of pesticide. But nonetheless, it was a
I like
unmitigated
the idea
success.
that somebody in the military was like, well, you have to take care of this. We're going to have to send in the cats. We got a surplus of cats.
That doesn't seem like an efficient way to deal with it.
Do you know that cats are the most successful hunters of any animal? Like
Well,
domestic house cats.
I did not know
Okay, I
that,
was gonna
but
say, what do
I've
you mean by
seen
They've
that?
got
I've
like
seen
an 85% success rate in hunting.
Well, they're hunting mice and stuff.
Well, yeah, but so are other things.
Yeah, I'm not going to hit 85%.
Yeah, true.
I do want to also share that Operation Cat Drop does link to a whole Wikipedia page dedicated to parachuting animals. So it's a broad
We've
enough.
done this more than once.
Oh, we've done this with a number of different animals.
We still do that.
Beaver drop, sheepdog drop.
Okay.
Sheepdog drop.
We've done it with.
What was it for the sheep?
I'm assuming for the dogs. Hold on. Nope. Maybe it was the sheep. Yeah.
The sheep were
Shepherds
getting a little randy, and
in
Some nasty sheep.
In 1949, shepherds in Carbon County, Utah had a shortage of sheepdogs due to snow. They did a dog lift. They brought in a bunch of sheepdogs.
All right.
does the government have a stockpile of dogs to just drop in Utah? Because they're just going to go door to door and say, are we going to take your dog? Or how does that
These
work?
are trained like working animals too.
Yeah.
These are.
Good point.
It's not just
People
like a
don't
pound
wanna
dog.
just give up their sheepdog.
You're not just drumming up sheepdogs.
Here's a low resolution picture, but I will at least show you both. The beaver drop. I don't know what the beaver was dropped for, but that's the beaver in
got
his
an
little
idea.
parachute. We're damming it up.
They either had to get beavers out of some place or into another.
Okay. The next thing that I had, and the last of the sort of general Wikipedia pages I was going to bring up before we get to This Week in History, is the USS Indianapolis, which is not going to be as fun to talk about, but it is fascinating.
I know nothing about this.
Have you ever seen Jaws?
It was not good.
Yes. It's not good? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll preface it by saying that. The USS Indianapolis was charged with delivering one of the nuclear weapons to...
Tinian.
Thank you, yep. And because of concerns about having, radio communications intercepted and decoded, they were more or less sent out there kind of blind, no communication, go out there, come back. And they ended up getting torpedoed on the way back. No distress signal was sent.
Chris, this is at the end of World War II before we dropped atomic weapons on Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
Okay, were we using airplanes? Yeah, I'm trying to decide if this is important or not.
This is
Yes.
their mission certainly was, and then what happened next, is not very unfortunate. But did planes exist? Absolutely. These men were not on
Okay,
planes.
so
this was being delivered via large
This isn't
battleship.
A
I can
big
still
boat
comprehend
brought
it
the
one
two atomic weapons to Tinian Island so that
Gotcha.
we could drop them on the two Japanese cities.
Not very nice.
Then they got torpedoed, and no distress signal was sent out for that. So the men that had survived the initial torpedoing went into the water, where dozens were eaten by sharks over the next. It's probably this is a hard thing to confirm, but certainly the most well documented, large instance of sharks killing human beings. There's really no other precedent for it because they all went into the ocean. All that
And there
blood.
were hundreds of guys on the boat. I don't
Yeah, it
know
was like
that-
1,500 or something like that, or 1,200. It was over 1,000, I believe.
Oof.
But
That's
only
got to be the worst possible way to go.
only a couple hundred. Yeah, worse than the torpedo or the burning in the water that's on fire
Yeah.
because of the oil slick spillage.
So when you're watching Jaws, the character Quint, was it? I forget.
I think it's Quint.
Quint
Yeah.
starts telling the story when he's hammered on the boat, which is being hammered on a boat, I don't recommend because I get seasick.
Yeah.
But he starts telling
Also, you might
the
have to hunt
story,
a shark.
Yeah.
and
Yeah, you're
it's a
chumming
true
up the
story.
waters doing that.
The whole thing is legit, and that's why he doesn't like sharks.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why. That's the only reason.
We were fine.
Yeah.
Went to different schools together. Then. Okay, is it time for This Week in History?
Yeah, we can do this weekend.
Now, this will be more in the question realm instead of just talking about interesting stuff. So, we'll start with this one. November 7th, 335. Athanasius, the 20th Pope of Alexandria, is banished to Trier on the charge that he prevented a grain fleet from sailing to Constantinople. What is the funniest form of historical punishment?
Tar and feather. How do you get funnier than that?
See, that's way more brutal than it sounds, though. It's funny in the cartoons.
Yeah, when Bugs Bunny does it, everybody laughs. But when it happens to you,
I've never understood why the feathers.
Oh, well, you're
Oh.
trying to fully,
Seems
make
like
a mockery of
hot
them.
tar would.
the hot tar is going to kill most of the people
It's
that
gonna do
does
the
it.
trick.
It covers up all their pores, and they cook from the inside out. The feathers is just out of
Fuck you.
spite. Yeah, it's just mean spirited.
Yeah, for a lot of, puritanical nations, we kind of come from, everywhere that, England sent people out from, they were doing some fucked up shit to people.
Drawn and quartered.
Publicly.
The English?
Yeah, you don't say. Yeah, drawing and quartering somebody
That's-
like they did to William Wallace.
Yeah, I
Wait,
watched
what?
that movie.
Yeah.
What is this?
That's when you attach a horse to each. You basically
Appendage.
each appendage, and then
Oh
They pull
my
you
God.
apart.
Oh my
And
God.
then you just take a sword and cut off your arms and legs, and the horses run free.
yeah.
It's not that funny, you guys.
I know this isn't doing great for a comedy podcast. Okay. To be clear, I don't think Mr. Harkins is arguing that that's the funniest form of historical punishment.
But what if you really didn't like the guy?
Then it could be funnier, but
But we don't promote that either.
I've always thought banishment was hilarious because it seems hard to enforce. First of all, imagine getting banned from even Safeco Field. It's how enforceable is that?
It's just a big timeout.
I'm banished from all of fucking Rome. I don't know. I feel like I could hide out in a wine pot for a while or something. I could get away with
Yeah, I'm
this.
just gonna grow a mustache, put on some glasses, Groucho Marx nose. Yeah, put on a baseball hat. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's just I don't know why I find it so funny that it's just leave.
Yeah, you have to go.
There's no there's no forced labor. There's no imprisonment. There's no fine. Just get out of here.
Exactly. Yeah, you need to go forever.
I do think that the stock, and I'm trying to remember the term for it. The putting somebody's hands and arms into the stock for
tomatoes
yeah.
at him.
yeah. That's also funny to a point. I think when you leave a guy there for a week, it's probably not funny. But 12 hours, that's pretty funny.
Yeah,
Because you can walk by and point at him.
Yeah.
Well,
That'd be
that's what you
entertaining.
get for stealing tomatoes,
Loser.
dude. Yeah.
Now,
Stealing
if we
tomatoes?
had that in the
Here's some
education
tomatoes.
system today, would kids still be doing what they're doing?
Oh, here we
Yeah,
go.
see, my dad came from, Alaska, the real corporal punishment era. So I feel like you're striking a nice middle ground here with the stocks. You're not, you're not hitting them with the paddle.
No,
but
I
There's
like
no paddle
I like the
involved, but
banishment. You
but
are
you-
banished to PE for the rest of the day.
You don't like PE?
Oh, I like PE, but I don't want 5 periods of PE.
I also don't want the teacher in charge to know that I'm there as punishment. Because if I'm there and I'm
Well,
playing
when you're
kickball,
running
5
the mile
periods in a row,
today.
it's Cooper on.
Yeah. Oh, God.
I'm going to be fucked up by third period.
I hated when they started calling, instead of it being run the mile day or whatever the fuck we were calling it before, they started changing it to the fun run. And I'm like, guys, you're not going to change my opinion on this just by putting fun in.
Yeah, it's
It's
like
not fun at all.
it's like calling it exciting broccoli or something. It's like you can't just word salad your way to
All this means is
fooling
I'm
me.
going to geometry sweaty and fuck you guys.
Yeah, exactly. My hygiene's poor.
Mm-hmm.
This is not going to go well for me.
Yeah. Very sweaty geometry.
Do you deal with a lot of smelly ass kids coming from their post gym? How's the hygiene these days?
Why don't we
Poor.
leave enough room
Hygiene
for
is
showers?
poor.
anymore?
Hygiene is poor.
Yeah, just in
Kids don't
general.
shower anymore. I don't know if you guys are in on this, but kids don't shower at school, period, anymore. They're taking most showers out now.
They don't give you enough time. It's like 5 minutes between classes.
So you get kids that are leaving PE class. Okay, I get it. You just ran the mile, the fun run.
Yeah, okay.
Right.
And they're going to be a little sweaty, and I get that. But you get kids that are just, they don't smell good. And they're in your class, and you're like, oh, okay.
There's some funk in here today.
And you have the conversation of, like, everybody should shower twice a week.
You're not setting
You mean kids are not showering at all?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
And that ain't good.
I'm too fat to miss even a day of
I
shower.
have to shower at least once a day.
Yeah.
And I
I'm
just
a
feel
mess.
better about myself when I do it. But
Same.
kids haven't reached that plateau yet. And it needs to be said sometimes. But it's a touchy situation. You can't just, hey, Chris, you don't smell good.
That'd be touchy for me today, even Chris.
What are you guys saying?
Well,
It's
you
a come
know,
to
that
Jesus
was
moment.
a hypothetical. It was a hypothetical.
Well, then Cole jumped on. I don't know a little bit.
I'm sorry.
So that's a thing.
That is brutal. I remember they don't give you enough time between classes. It's like basically you've got 5 minutes to get to your next class, or at least that's how it was at my school. And it was like, well, you can take a shower and feel better, be comfortable for the rest of the day.
It's worth the tardy.
You might, yeah. Is it worth the tardy? Well, I
Yeah,
had so many
it's
fucking
worth the
tardies.
tardy.
I had so many tardies.
Like you'd care about one more.
I would go in between classes. I used to do it in Sartorius's class. I know that's one of your friends. Where after lunch, I would just burst into his classroom and as if I were the teacher and I was late, and start teaching the class complete nonsense. And he would just let me do it.
Bringing some thrills to his class.
One day he locked the door because he knew I was going to do that, and so I did the whole Chris Farley and Tommy Boy not able to get in to the door routine because there was a window and I knew he would
seen.
appreciate that. Yeah, I would still get my laughs.
Yeah.
I was itching for.
Tapping
The
van.
teacher next door completely lost her fucking mind. She was like, "You need to go to the principal. You can't be behaving like this." I was like, "All right, I'll
She
go to the
didn't have
principal."
blonde hair by any chance, did she?
Yeah, we don't need to even mention her name. Yeah. I was like, okay, I'll go to the principal. And I walked the opposite direction of the principal's office. And I think that was when she realized there's nothing really she could do at that point. So then I was just tardy the class I was supposed to be in.
One more tardy.
That's
Fucking right. I guess I could, yeah. I guess what I'm saying is my entertainment time was more important than being clean.
That's fair. Yeah. I mean, I like to imagine your mom acting some way like my dad, like they call her, and she's just like, "What?" And they're like, "Oh." Now I feel a little like intimidated by making this call to this parent.
That's so funny because there's so many things I did at school where I'm like, oh, I might get in trouble for this. And then I never heard about it until like me and my mom would be arguing about something and she would mention like 3 of the things. She's like, school called me about, like she'll name off like
She's
3
just like
things.
putting them in the
I'm
fucking.
like, oh, you're saving these for arguments.
This
Okay.
is going into the
That's
war
how the game
chest.
works.
Yeah. Was funny that like the one story about my dad that my mom told was the time that my brother showed up to school smelling like weed because he had helped trim the plants. He got sent to the office and they called my dad to ask him about it, and so immediately he's like, "What? Why you fucking calling me at work?" And they're just like, "Whoa."
Your son smells like weed. Oh, do you need any? Or
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, of course he smells like weed. He was helping me all fucking weekend. Like, people are not usually expecting people to so readily admit to those crimes.
Are they crimes? Or are we labeling them as crimes?
It was not a crime.
it was good old horticulture.
He was allowed to smell like weed for the rest of the school year. And then they also asked him, "Are there any kids that might be in your situation?" And he was like, "What? I'm not a snitch." And he went home. And
Also, situation.
And he told my dad that. And my dad's like, "Did you give him any names?" "No." "Thank God." Good boy.
Good boy.
It's okay. On to our second of 4 This Week in History questions. November 7th, 1991. I'm sorry, I'm not doing a great job with fun questions today. Magic Johnson announces that he is... HIV positive and retires from the NBA.
Oh, not funny at all, but it's funny how not funny some of them.
I know, the comedy podcast is like, anyways.
I remember that. I was in high school, and it's like, what?
That blow your
this
mind, like a guy at the peak of his powers, all of a sudden gone.
Well, you got to go back rationale or two. Up till then, who had AIDS?
It was considered a gay disease, and
Exactly.
that's how
Freddie
it was
Mercury's
also
the only one.
portrayed.
And
That's
that's what we knew. And when Magic announced that, we're like, I didn't know he was gay.
Yeah, what's he been up to?
I'm not saying that flippantly. That was the honest question of, and then all of a sudden it's like, well, apparently
people didn't even know that you could contract HIV through.
well, we
Needles and
weren't
stuff.
Some
weren't
people didn't. Yeah, many people
stupid,
didn't.
but we didn't put the pieces together. That how does that happen when obviously we're very much more informed now, but I remember when that happened, and it was shocking because he was Magic. He was the guy. He was, Jordan hadn't launched into the stratosphere yet. He was the guy. And to have him announce that and say, I'm going to retire, and we didn't.
32.
Yeah.
That'd be like that happening to LeBron now.
No, it'd be bigger than that.
Like
You think?
it'd be
Oh,
like
yeah.
LeBron when he was on the Heat or something, based on when he was in his
Right,
career. Not
right,
the same
right.
number of rings, but
Yeah,
So-
it like Mahomes right now.
oh yeah,
I-
that's a good comparison.
Maybe that would be a
Yeah.
comparison of he's the best around, and all of a sudden he's going to step away at his prime, maybe a year or two past prime, but you get the idea.
Right.
But wow, it was shocking.
So does that rank for you? That was going to be my question. Does that rank for you as the most shocking retirement, sports or otherwise? If you've got a shocking other one, feel free. But is that your number one, Mike?
It would have to be right there. I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think because just the situation, the newness of the whole AIDS epidemic, the shifting of perception. Yeah, I think so.
I think in terms of retirements, like there was a reason why it's like shocking that it happened, right? But when I think of shocking retirements, I think like Luke Kuechly. I'm like, dude, you just walked away like at least 8 years early. Like it's crazy to see the best middle linebacker in the sport hanging it up for. I mean, I say no reason. Football is the reason.
Right.
Chris
right.
Borland was another one. Middle linebacker from Wisconsin, played for the Niners.
For
I think
1
he retired
year.
Yeah,
he was
after
pretty good
1
that year too.
He was very good. I think he won Rookie of the Year. I may be wrong about that, but yeah, he was super good. So yeah, those are the ones that have shocked me. Retirements where you just didn't see it coming. There was not really a reason other than it just doesn't seem safe to play football.
Yeah, absolutely.
Megatron would be right there too.
Yeah,
Barry
that's fair.
Sanders.
Barry Sanders.
Yeah.
See, I wasn't old enough to appreciate how insane that was when Barry retired. Megatron for sure.
I only ever started to appreciate the Barry Sanders retirement and how early that was when Calvin Johnson retiring happened, because the obvious comparison, we have two guys
What have the
who
Lions done to these
who
people?
are yeah who exactly who are on the brink of breaking all these records, are so fed up with being Detroit Lions. They're like, I'm just gonna go home. You guys keep your money. I'm out of here.
Yeah, I think the only one, those are great examples. I think the only one that I could think of to add to that was Andrew Luck, which as soon as, when I had 5 minutes to think about it, and of course,
That one makes sense to me though.
it did. It did. Once I thought about it, it wasn't shocking. But because of where he was in his career, and also
He hadn't even been in
believe-
the league like a decade yet, though, had he?
Oh, like 5-6 years maybe.
6 healthy year. Like I was going to say maybe 8 tops, but he missed a whole year, and But I remember he had played. He had been playing, and I guess that was part of it too. Was if it had happened in the pure off season, but him walking off the field with the announcement coming, it was just very.
Yeah, he
Very
played a couple
odd.
preseason games and then was just like, nah.
Yeah, and he had rehabbed so many injuries. To your point, it
You know-
made perfect sense.
And that's why the Calvin Johnson, Barry Sanders things, they weren't injured to my knowledge.
Right.
They didn't have the history of concussions, but nobody cared about that then. They didn't have blown ACLs. They didn't have anything like that. they just kind of woke up one day and said, I'm out.
Tired of losing.
Is what it looked like.
Right.
And I'm sure there's more to it than that, but Andrew Luck made sense. Andrew Luck was like, I've gotten the shit kicked out of me. My brain doesn't feel like it's supposed to. And mind you, he was a Stanford guy. He was a smart guy.
In theory, yeah, can go do other stuff.
And he got out when he thought maybe there's more to life than this.
Yeah.
Which brings up the whole Tua thing, at the beginning of this NFL season. And maybe there's a difference of opinions there, but when he went out with his, I don't know how many concussions he's had, but people were saying, like, you need to hang it up.
Yeah, I think it's officially 3, but it's 4 really because they let him back in with the back injury that time when it's like, that's not what that was.
Yeah, this
No.
guy clearly has the scramblies.
Yeah. I
So-
mean, it's not a coincidence that we're talking about,
They're all football
football.
players.
Yeah,
pretty close to-
exactly. It's not a lot of NBA guys hanging it up early,
Yeah, I can't
or
think of a baseball player.
No, I think the one guy, and again, I mean, to an even more extreme extent, it makes sense, is like, a guy like Strasburg or Mark Pryor, where you're like, well, it's if you were to look at it strictly on paper, it's surprising, but
Maybe
when you
can't
look at
throw
the
100 anymore.
right, and you look at the injuries, like I've read articles about Strasburg's, kind of day-to-day life, and it's like he's a disabled person. He really, his arm is not going to be a pitching arm again. It's like he'll be walking around with a beverage and it'll just like go numb and it'll just drop. It's like he's got a real permanent damage to that arm. So of course it makes sense, but still when you look at the numbers and you're like, whoa, you were, Sandy Koufax, same thing. Like you have arthritis in your elbow, but you're also Sandy Koufax. You threw 4 fucking no hitters and you're 30 years old. Yeah. It's just hard to believe. But yeah, those are the ones, I wasn't old enough, obviously, to appreciate Magic Johnson or the first Michael Jordan retirement or a lot of these ones that would have shocked people at the time. So, yeah.
And then you get the whole talking about conspiracy theories, why Jordan retired the first time.
Oh, the
And-
gambling debt
Yeah,
thing?
the gambling. Maybe we just need to step away for a little bit.
Yeah, I've always felt like the reputational harm from gambling wasn't nearly enough to justify pushing away, like, a guy of that star power.
Yeah,
like, I never...
But the stories you hear about Jordan's gambling, they're astronomical.
They're pretty
It's-
bad.
I mean,
It's Barkley-esque.
it's questionable.
Okay, third question of 4. November 9th, 1799, Napoleon Bonaparte leads the coup of 18th Brumaire, ending the Directory government, becoming first consul, the successor consulate government. Who do you think came closest historically to world domination?
Bill Belichick. The New England Patriots.
If Bill Belichick had 300 tanks,
I-
what could he do?
Did we talk about this last time? I swear to God we've talked about this before. Greg Popovich and Bill Belichick would be the best generals if we had to.
You're putting him in that Eisenhower rung there, the 5-star guys. A real fucking Patton. I think Napoleon would perhaps be my vote. I know you could go Hitler, you can go Genghis Khan. There's a number of people. Alexander the Great.
We say Roman Empire in general.
Genghis Khan is a strong vote.
Genghis Khan, I think it was technically the most land under one.
Yeah. Let's see.
They would have had a hard time conquering the New World, as it were. They would have been pretty stuck over in
Well, you
Asia
don't
and
have
Europe,
the
but-
boats.
Yeah.
You just need the boats.
yeah. Maybe they'd figure that out on a long enough timeline.
How long ago was this? Did they have boats? What are we
that was
talking
like
about?
12th, 13th.
Oh, dude,
people-
that's
people,
so
of course,
fucking long
did.
ago.
Their
People
boats
in
have been
general
around for a
did.
while, as it turns out.
But Mongolia
Yeah, but-
is way up in the mountains, so they themselves didn't have boats, but many cultures had developed them by that point.
They talked about
So-
that at the beginning of Red Dawn.
Oh
If
shit!
you
I haven't seen
if
Red
you-
Dawn in so long.
If you need to just have a Genghis Khan, lecture, just
get
listen
your
to the
80s
beginning of Red Dawn, the original Red Dawn, not the stupid second one.
right, of course.
But he spells it all out. So maybe we just need that.
Right. We'll revisit some old movies here. We'll have Chris watch Jaws, and then we'll get on to Red Dawn.
How do you not know that about Jaws?
I haven't watched Jaws in so long. I watched Jaws and then went on Lake Sammamish in our boat and felt some seaweed or lake weed on my toe.
Yeah.
was sure it was a shark. And I was
For
like,
sure.
Done with boats. Done with that movie.
My dad wasn't great with horror movies. He's like, I don't think I shit on the toilet for a summer. And he grew up in Alaska, so there's always an outhouse, so I kind of believe it. Could be a shark in there. I'm going to vote Napoleon on this question for this reason. He eventually lost, his second exile when they finally, killed his ass when they sent him to St. Helena. Right? Was it St. Helena?
So you're saying he was in charge, and then they kicked him out, and then he came back.
He came back.
And then they kicked him out again?
Yeah.
Is that what's going on here?
History does repeat itself.
Just clarify.
Yeah, he came back, and when he came back at the Battle of Waterloo, that was the War of the Sixth Coalition. And I always like to bring that up because that means there were 5 other coalitions that fucking failed to stop Napoleon. And each of these coalitions, Chris, is like 8 nations coming together.
I like how he's talking to you
to
and
try
not me, because he assumes I know this shit.
I'm the dumb one. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just, trying to spread
I'll
the
let him
historical
direct it.
knowledge.
Just me.
Let's
I absolutely know what's happening.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it was every single time wiped him out, and they're all just trying to kill this one military genius.
That's pretty baller. Is there anything more baller than Julius Caesar crossing the Rubicon?
No, certainly not from a historical reference perspective, because he knew what it meant. It's the casting of the die.
Mm-hmm.
He knew he'd never be able to go back in peace, so to speak.
Declaring war on Rome. Pretty badass, especially considering. Very cool. Anything you've got to have another cool, something in history where you're just like, that was fucking cool.
Hannibal taking the elephants across the
That's pretty dope.
across the mountains.
Let's see. Nope. I got nothing.
Yeah.
All right. You had him with the elephants.
That was the only one
Well,
I
you
had.
can talk about Rommel going through North Africa. That was pretty effective. You can talk about Patton going through Europe. That was pretty effective.
Sherman's march through the South.
That was a pretty baller move right there.
Grabbing the bull by the horns.
Of those 3 things right there, that one I think had the biggest impact. That's one guy just saying, hey, my boss told me I'm going to lay some waste, and here we go. No fucks given. Just, I'm ending this thing right now. And you go down there now, and they still don't like him.
No. I went to Ireland with Ashley a couple years ago, and we were interacting with a local eccentric, some guy who wanted some free smokes and stuff. But he was telling us some stories. He's like, yeah, I was in the South once, and I got pulled over for speeding. And the cop was being an asshole, and he asked me how fast I was going. Told him, and he goes, you're going too fast to be down here. And he goes, well, Sherman got through here pretty fast, didn't he? They immediately threw him in jail.
Yeah,
They definitely
no
still-
love for Sherman.
He's an Irish guy. He didn't realize quite, or maybe he did know
Sorry, this is
exactly
all-
how much it
this
would
is
piss him
Told
off.
him that. He's got an idea.
This is a traffic stop, not an open mic, okay?
Yeah, Sherman at the end of the Civil War, that was pretty effective.
Yeah, destroy all the railroads, slash and burn.
And let everybody know this is what we're doing.
Yeah. Okay, I've got one last question here. November 11th, 1926, the United States numbered highway system is established. It would take another 35 years for the full Eisenhower vision to start to come to fruition, but this is a good opportunity to ask, what is the longest road trip you've ever taken? And was it fun or was it miserable?
I don't think it's a road trip if you weren't miserable at some point.
There's got to be some amount of misery.
Yeah. Or you're just like, fuck, this is a lot of North Dakota. God damn it.
I know you've been on the road a lot for comedy, but I know that was more staying kind of west
actually,
coast.
the longest one I ever went on was just a bad decision. I should have just bought plane tickets, but we decided, me and the girl I was dating at the time, I think I was just like newly 18.
In love.
Yeah, right. And
Is that
broke.
the word we're using?
And
Is that the
broke.
word we're using? Love?
Lust for sure at the time. Anyhow, we decided to drive from Seattle to Milwaukee, down to Chicago, then up to Eau Claire, Wisconsin, which is not very far north, but more northern Wisconsin, and then back home. It was too much time on the road. I think in terms of hours, we were somewhere around
9 million.
65?
65 or 70 total hours, yeah. It was way too long.
Yeah. You've got me beat. I did the to Chicago and back, but we didn't go to Eau Claire, so.
Yeah, Chicago and back is brutal. That's like 24 hours.
Yeah, it took us close to 30, I think.
Yeah.
Like the GPS told us it'd take 30 or 32, and we beat it by, a couple hours. But also did one to Austin, but that was one way, so that one wasn't as long.
God, that's a lot of nowhere driving, though.
Yeah, when you're doing the drive, like from Kansas City, or no, where were we? We were driving from Denver, trying to see how close we could get to Austin in one stretch. And when you're doing that drive through like northwest Texas, and you're like, I guess we're stopping in Lubbock. That's where
I remember when I was driving.
Nowheresville.
I think we were still in North Dakota, but I had been driving for so long. I had driven from Seattle, not even gotten out of the car other than to get gas. We're in North Dakota. I don't remember how many hours we're in at this point, but I remember I hadn't really fucking seen anything. And then I see a sign for Porn Barn. And I'm like, is this a mirage? Like, is this what my mind really wants?
Like
it wants a porn barn. Like, if I pull over at Porn Barn, am I actually dying? Like,
In
am I
North
really?
Dakota?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a risky place to run a porn barn.
I don't recommend that.
Yeah,
I stopped.
I
Got a
do-
couple
it's-
DVDs.
I like the idea. Yeah, you're in the desert. You see a mirage. You're thirsty, so you see water. Chris, naturally.
Porn
Porn
Barn.
barn.
Yeah.
North Dakota. Porn barn, North Dakota.
Yeah. Fucking A.
Have you ever, when you were on that drive, did you see all the signs for wall drugs?
Yeah. Have we talked about this
Wall
before?
drug.
What is wall drug?
You've never been to Wall Drug?
I saw a lot of signs for it.
Oh,
wanted
I've
to
got
stop.
I've got something to say about Wall Drug.
Okay. Let's not get too political.
No, 100%.
I think that this is totally bipartisan right
This
here.
is bipartisan as it all get out. So, as you're driving across Montana and you're getting about, you're halfway through eastern Montana, which means you've got about 900 miles to go to the end of Montana. You start seeing billboards for Wall Drug.
Yeah.
And the first time I did it, I was like, my wife, who I love to death, her mother is from Minnesota, her dad is from South Dakota, and when she was a kid, they would go back to see the family every summer. So they'd jump in the car, and Dad would drive 24 hours plus at a time. Mom didn't drive. Dad drove the whole thing, and they'd leave at 3 a.m. and gone. And Wall Drug is in South Dakota, and the billboards are like free ice water.
Yes. Thank you. That is an actual billboard. That is
there's
literal
500
verbatim.
of them.
Yes.
Wait. There's
5 cent coffee.
Wait, hold on.
Dinosaurs.
There's only one Wall Drug?
Yes.
Wall Drug
I thought this was a chain with how many billboards I saw.
No.
It's the town of Wall.
Wall Drug. It's a
I
strip
thought they were
mall.
just a Walmart ripoff.
Think of it like a strip mall with about, I don't know, maybe 40 or 50 little stores that all sell the same things.
They all have saloon doors.
And it's this destination. And you get to Wall Drug, and I got a picture of me on a jackalope in Wall Drug.
Sounds right.
That's Wall Drug. And
Jackalopes are real.
And
yeah.
some of the billboards
But
are.
this one's like 12 feet tall.
It's a big
man.
guy.
It's a big jackalope.
And some of the billboards, they're pretty. Like some of them are kind of legitimate. Like, oh, okay, I would want to stop for this. But then some, like you said, free ice water. Like I remember one of them
Porn
was something
barn.
like a homemade lunch, where it's just like it was so vague. Like, what is the restaurant?
This is going to be
Like-
baloney.
Homemade lunch, and it's just like a
Donuts.
painter of a prospector. Like, well, that guy's a gold miner. What does he have to do with homemade
Doesn't
lunch?
look like he has lunch.
No, it looks like he's got tetanus.
I'm going to send you my picture of me on a jackalope.
Please do. It's going to go straight on the Second Lunch Podcast Instagram, so hopefully you're clothed.
One other thing I want to add about Wall
am.
Drug is that because Wall Drug is like the tourist attraction within this very small town of Wall, when we pulled off, because at that point, the brainwashing has succeeded. I've seen
Right.
900 billboards. I must see what this place is. But you pull off and you're in the town of Wall, which is a gas station and some residences. And it's, not a lot going on. So I asked, "Where's Wall Drug?" to the cashier, and that I got a look from a man like he had died 1,000 deaths.
You just asked where Hotel California was.
Exactly. Yeah. I was standing on the corner in Winslow, Arizona, and I'm like asking the guy, "Hey, take a picture." That guy lives in Winslow, and he's so mad.
I've always felt really good about not falling for like advertisement things like that. I've never even considered going to Wall Drug.
I've got a bumper sticker hanging in my classroom. I've been to Wall Drug.
By the time I saw the fifth or
It's a
sixth
rite of passage.
sign for it, I was like, no fucking chance. I'm not going. It's too advertised. It can't be good. But you know what?
You gotta go.
My Coke Zero habit has reached 2 cans a day, and I realized just from watching NASCAR that is what did it. I was watching NASCAR the other day.
Made you drink more Coke Zero?
Well, hold
You
on.
got hit with all the adverts.
Yeah.
Oh.
And I was like, man, I could go for some McDonald's right after I saw McDonald's. I never eat McDonald's.
That's the worst fast food. I'm not even judging
once
you.
Maybe
Jesus
twice
Christ.
a year I'll eat McDonald's and I'm hammered. But I was sober, like, fuck. I go and then there was then all the drivers are drinking Coke bottles. I was like, oh. I went and got a Coke Zero, cracked it open, and I was like, oh my god, it just happened.
Daytona 500
It
is
just
great
happened
with
to
getting
me.
milk.
Yeah. Anyway,
Fucking milk farmers got to be happy with the Daytona.
so I just want to say Coke Zero is a great Coke alternative with 0 sugar and no calories.
Wow.
Are we sponsored
I
by
feel
them
like
now?
I want to give up beer right now.
I feel like we're the two people in the ad that are like, gee, yes, I too would like that bev. Let me put down in like a stilted tone.
This actually isn't even beer. I've been drinking Coke Zero.
Yeah. We need beer sponsors. Don't tell them that.
Working on a beer sponsor.
True.
That's
well,
up in the
hopefully,
air at the moment.
I
hopefully
got a
next time.
guy.
I do have a guy. I guess that's
I
pretty
think
much
that's-
time.
Yeah, I think we're good.
Anything you need to tell the people? You have the floor.
Oh, well, there's the pressure right there.
Anything you're promoting.
Anything I'm promoting?
Yeah.
Stay in school.
There we go.
Only
Don't
do some of the drugs.
Oh.
Okay. No.
You got to know your way around.
Mushrooms are
never
fine.
mind. Mushrooms?
Mushrooms, yeah.
Don't do those.
Okay.
They make you scared.
I've definitely had a couple scary ones. Yeah.
I read that in a book, and
Don't do mushrooms.
Dare told me.
Dare told me
Don't
to
you
stay
dare.
away from drugs.
Yeah. Stay away from drugs. What you should do is drink some Coke Zero. Follow the podcast on Instagram, X, Facebook. Is TikTok going to be leaked? Oh, we don't need to get into.
Yeah, by the
What
time
might
we
be
publish
happening
this,
with
who
TikTok.
knows?
Thanks for listening. Jordan, love you all. Bucks and 6.